Everything started on what should have been a normal Saturday, but for me, it became a day I could never forget. My name's Alex, just a regular, slightly awkward kid who definitely had no idea how to talk to girls. But this time, something changed. I got a call from Jack's dad, Jack being my best friend since forever. He invited me to join their family on a little picnic, saying I was a good influence on Jack. I didn't really get what he meant, but it sounded fun, so I said yes. When they picked me up in their slightly beat-up van, I was introduced to Lily, Jack's younger sister, and her friend. I honestly didn't pay much attention to the friend, because my eyes immediately landed on Lily. She wasn't too tall, with long hair and a smile that made my heart start doing backflips. I remember how awkward I felt just trying to talk to her, and of course, I had zero idea how to flirt. All I could do was smile nervously and hope I didn't embarrass myself too badly. The trip was amazing. We walked around the park, played silly games, laughed together, and I slowly started talking to Lily more. Every time she laughed, it felt like the world faded around us. I wasn't sure if she noticed me the way I noticed her, but I knew one thing: I wanted to stay by her side the entire day. After that picnic, I couldn't stop thinking about Lily. On Monday, I did something kind of ridiculous, but unforgettable. I pretended to get off the bus with Jack just so I could walk home with Lily and tell her that I liked her. I remember standing there, completely terrified, stumbling over my words with my heart pounding like crazy. And then she said a word that made me both relieved and nervous at the same time. Maybe. But later that night, my phone buzzed. It was Lily. And all she said was, yes. I almost couldn't believe it. From that moment on, everything changed. We started writing each other little handwritten notes. At first, they were short, just a few lines like, "I had fun today," or "Did you like the picnic?" But slowly they grew longer, filled with secrets, thoughts, and jokes only we understood. We even made little nicknames. I called her Sweetie, and she called me Hothead because I had a bit of a temper sometimes. Those letters became the best part of my day. I would wake up without needing an alarm, knowing a note from Lily would be waiting for me after school. My heart would race every time I held one, and I felt like shouting to the whole world, "I'm in love for the first time and it feels amazing." More than anything, we started to understand each other in a way no one else could. We created our own language, our own little world. And that's how it all began. A simple picnic that changed everything, opening the door to a sweet, innocent first love with Lily, a girl I knew would stay in my memory no matter what happened next. After getting that phone call from Lily, the one word yes, I could barely sleep. My heart kept pounding the entire night, my mind spinning with 1,000 little questions. What should I say to her tomorrow? Does she really like me? What if I say something stupid? All of it made me both excited and terrified. On Monday morning, I decided to do something a bit crazy. I pretended to get off the bus with Jack so I could walk home with Lily and ask her out privately. When I saw Lily laughing with Jack, my heart practically jumped straight out of my chest. I walked up to her awkward as ever and mumbled, Lily, would you maybe want to go for a walk with me today?" I was shaking. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, and my voice kept tripping over itself. Lily looked at me, smiling, her eyes sparkling. Then she said the word that confused and thrilled me all at once. "Maybe." I froze. But a second later, she laughed softly and said, "But, yes." It felt like the world exploded inside my chest. I couldn't believe she actually agreed. I was so overwhelmed I almost forgot to say goodbye. We ended up taking a walk around the neighborhood talking about random things like school, our classmates, silly jokes. Everything felt new. Every time she smiled, my heart raced. At one point she brushed my hand with hers just for a second and I swear I felt the whole world spin. Our first date ended with a smile and a promise to see each other again. I walked home with my heart still racing, overwhelmed by this strange new feeling. First love, pure, awkward, and wildly exciting. That night, I wrote her a handwritten letter. I didn't know if she'd ever receive it, but I had to write down everything: the excitement, the joy, the happiness of being called someone's boyfriend for the first time. And that letter became the start of a new habit. Exchanging handwritten notes every single day. At first they were short little comments about our day, a funny moment with Jack or Ethan. But as days went by, they grew deeper, more personal. We shared secrets, fears, hopes, and stupid little jokes only we understood. We also kept our nicknames alive. I always called her Sweetie, and she teasingly called me Hothead. Handing each other letters became our thing. I'd wait for her at the end of the hallway after school, my heart pounding every time she walked toward me with a note in her hand. Those moments, small, quiet, almost insignificant to others, meant everything to us. We even created secret symbols in the letters, inside jokes only we could understand. And little by little, we built our own small universe. A love that wasn't flashy or dramatic, but honest, simple, and beautifully teenage. As the days passed, our handwritten notes weren't the only thing pulling us closer. Seeing Lily at school became the highlight of my day. Even the smallest moments walking past each other in the hallway or waiting for the bus felt special. During recess, we'd wander around the schoolyard together, talking about random little things and teasing each other like every teenage couple does. One time, Lily jokingly blamed me for every prank Jack pulled in class. I burst out laughing, and she laughed even harder, this bright, clear laugh that made me want to freeze time just to stay in that moment. We also joined small games with our friends, but somehow, we always found tiny pockets of privacy among the crowd. Even if Ethan or Jack was with us, Lily and I could always steal a glance, share a small gesture, or giggle at something only we understood. One of the things I remember most clearly was our secret word game in class. We created our own symbols and hid them on pieces of paper we'd sneak to each other. Whenever one of us decoded the other's symbol correctly, we'd catch each other's eyes and smile. And it felt like we were the only two people in the whole room. Even lunch breaks became our mini adventures. We'd find a quiet corner of the schoolyard, share food, tell jokes, or just sit together enjoying the moment. That's when I truly realized something. First love isn't always about big declarations or flawless romantic gestures. It's about the tiny things. The shared laughter. The nervous glances. The silly secrets. The comfort of knowing someone cares about you in their own clumsy, teenage way. Day by day, we built a little world just for the two of us. And those small, gentle moments made our first love feel more special than anything else in my life at the time. Everything was still sweet. Until the drama slowly crept in. Ethan, a classmate and also a friend of Lily, started acting strangely. The way he looked at her, the way he hovered around her. It was more than just friendly. I noticed it immediately. Every time Lily laughed, Ethan's eyes followed her in a way that made my stomach twist. I had never felt jealousy so intense before. Raw, unfamiliar, and honestly a little scary. One day, Ethan walked up to me and asked bluntly, "Are you and Lily dating?" I nodded, trying to stay calm even though I could feel irritation bubbling inside me. After that, I noticed him looking for opportunities to talk to Lily. Slipping into conversations, interrupting small private moments between us. Always appearing at the worst times. I was frustrated. But I didn't want to act possessive. I didn't want Lily to think I didn't trust her. She once told me, "If you love me, you'll trust me." That sentence echoed in my head again and again. So I tried to stay patient. Tried to act like Ethan didn't bother me. Tried to believe that Lily knew what she was doing. But the more I saw him around her, the more uneasy I felt. Eventually, after school one day, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I took a deep breath and told her, "Lily, I don't like how Ethan talks to you. I just want to protect you." She looked at me serious, but still soft. "Alex, I get why you're worried. But if you love me, you have to trust me. I know what I'm doing. And I love you too. Don't let jealousy ruin this." I stood there quietly, my heart still beating fast. And in that moment, I realized something important. All my anger and fear came from caring too much. But that wasn't the right way to love someone. I had to trust her. Even when it was hard. From then on, things between us actually grew deeper. Lily taught me one of the first real lessons of growing up. Love isn't possession. It's trust. It's giving each other space. It's choosing to believe even when your heart is scared. Even though Ethan still lingered around. I learned to stay calm. And enjoy the time Lily and I had together instead of worrying about losing her. One weekend, Lily's dad, who was also Jack's dad, organized a youth trip for the church group. Lily and I weren't allowed to openly date anymore, but this trip felt like a perfect chance to be near her without raising suspicion. We walked along a small trail that led into a forest near a shallow river. Everyone in the group was joking around, skipping stones, and playing little games. But even among all that noise, I couldn't take my eyes off Lily. She walked just behind me, and I made sure nothing happened to her. And then it happened so fast I barely processed it. When we were crossing a rocky part of the river, Lily's foot slipped on a slick stone. In an instant, she lost her balance and nearly fell into the current. It wasn't deep, but the water was strong enough to knock someone off their feet. I shouted her name, my heart practically exploding. I lunged forward, grabbing her hand. The water pulled hard, and for a second I knew that if I wasn't careful, I could slip too. But I planted my feet, tightened my grip, and pulled her toward me with everything I had. For a few tense seconds, it felt like the whole world went silent. Then finally, she was back on solid ground. Breathing hard, eyes wide with shock. And then, smiling. You saved me," she gasped. I just nodded, still feeling the adrenaline thundering through my body. To everyone else, it was just a small accident. But to me and to Lily it meant so much more. Jack's dad watched us with an expression I couldn't quite read. Almost like he understood something without saying it. The rest of the walk, Lily held my hand. She didn't say much, but she didn't need to. I could feel everything she wanted to say through her grip. After the trip, she wrote me a handwritten letter. Telling me how safe she'd felt. How she missed me. How much she wanted to keep our love alive even if it had to stay secret. And I responded the same way. Telling her that love wasn't just romance. It was caring, protecting, and being there when it mattered. That church trip became one of my most vivid memories of our teenage years. Not just because I pulled her from the river. But because I felt our connection deepen in a way words could never fully explain. Everything was still wonderful. Until the day my family told me we were moving. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. In an instant, the most beautiful first love of my life, my whole world with Lily, was suddenly limited by rules, by distance. By something completely out of my control. Before the move, I spent every minute I could with her. We walked around the neighborhood. Laughed at silly jokes. Held on to every little moment like it might be our last. And it kind of was. After the move, we kept writing letters. But the distance became painfully noticeable. I wrote to her about my new life, new school, new people. But the letters I received from her grew shorter and less frequent. I knew she was trying. But the truth was simple. We couldn't hand each other letters after class anymore. We couldn't walk home together. We couldn't steal small moments and share secret smiles. Everything that made our relationship so alive was suddenly gone. A part of me felt like my heart had been ripped out. That sweet, innocent first love we shared now felt so fragile. I tried to reassure myself. We still love each other. It's just temporary. But the loneliness crept in anyway. Quiet, heavy, and constant. During the first weeks after the move, everything felt blurry. I went to school, met new people, followed a new routine. But nothing had color. Nothing felt as warm as Lily's presence. I kept writing her letters. But some went unanswered for a long time. Those silent days made me doubt. Made me ache. Made me realize how cruel distance can be to first love. But through that sadness, I learned something important. Love isn't only about being together physically. It's about appreciation. About holding on to memories. About quietly cherishing someone even when life pulls you apart. Even from far away. Lily stayed with me in ways no one else could. Her laughter. Her letters. Our inside jokes. Our little rituals. They became the strength that helped me survive the emptiness. Forced distance was my first lesson in growing up. Love doesn't always stay easy. But the feelings that matter remain. After I moved away, everything felt empty. Lily was still in my thoughts every single day. But now I couldn't see her in the hallway. Couldn't hand her letters after school. Couldn't laugh with her during breaks. All I had left were memories. And an ache that settled deep inside me. Whenever I walked past places that reminded me of home, I imagined Lily there. Smiling. Teasing me. Holding my hand. Or laughing at one of our silly inside jokes. That was when I realized something important. First, love isn't just about the present. It becomes part of your past. Part of who you are. I started keeping a journal. Writing down everything about Lily. Her smile, her eyes. Our secret nicknames. The things we used to joke about. The way she held my hand near the river. Every memory turned into something precious. Even the old letters we exchanged became treasures of my youth. The ink had faded. The paper had softened. But the emotions stayed alive. Clearer than anything in my new life. Sometimes, I'd lie awake remembering our walks. Our laughter. Or that moment when I pulled her from the water. Those memories were more vivid than anything happening around me. Even far away, Lily felt close. Like a quiet echo of my teenage years. That refused to disappear. The loneliness hurt. But in a strangely beautiful way. I learned that missing someone isn't just sadness. It's proof that what you had was real. Every time I thought of Lily, my heart reacted the same way it had the day I first met her. Fluttering, warm, full of that teenage rush I'd never felt before. Teen years don't last long. But with Lily, they became unforgettable. A journey of laughter. Letters. An innocent love that shaped me more than I realized. Even separated, I kept her in my heart. And those memories became a part of me. Something I knew I would carry for the rest of my life. After I moved away, our relationship became completely secret. We couldn't see each other anymore. We couldn't slip letters into each other's hands after school. We couldn't laugh in the hallway or steal quiet moments between classes. All we had left were letters. And even those became harder to send. Every letter turned into something precious. Each one felt like a lifeline. A fragile thread that kept us connected across the miles. In those final letters, we poured everything into our words. Our deepest feelings. Our loneliness. The tiny joys from our days apart. And the fading rhythm of a love that once felt boundless. Lily wrote about her new school days. About stressful classes. About missing me when she saw the places we used to sit. I wrote about my new life. New friends. New routines. And the quiet ache that followed me everywhere. We still used our secret nicknames. A little hothead here. A little sweetie there. Tiny signals that said, I still care. I still remember. No one else in the world would understand them. But we did. Each time I opened a letter from her, my heart beat like it did the first time she said yes. No matter how short the letter was. It reminded me of the world we once shared. A world built from jokes, notes, and teenage dreams. But distance has a way of wearing things down. Some letters took weeks to arrive. Some went unanswered for too long. And slowly, quietly, our words became fewer. One of the last letters Lily ever sent me was a long, handwritten confession. Careful, emotional. Filled with thoughts she'd kept inside for a long time. She told me she kept every letter I ever gave her. She told me she reread them when she couldn't sleep. She told me she would never forget the days we spent together. Walking, laughing, exchanging notes. Building a small secret world that belonged only to us. I read that letter again and again. My chest tightened. My eyes burned. But I knew. This was the gentle closing of a chapter. Those final letters weren't just ink on paper. They were proof. Proof of a love that was young, sincere, and unforgettable. Even if it could no longer survive the distance. They taught me that real love doesn't always need to last forever. To mean something. Sometimes. The quietest endings leave the deepest mark. Time passed faster than I expected. My new life swept me along. New people. New responsibilities. New experiences that teenage me wasn't ready for. But no matter who I met, or what I went through, a part of my heart stayed behind. With Lily. Not in a painful way. Not in a way that haunted me. It was more like a soft note of music that plays quietly in the background whenever you look back on your youth. Our memories never faded. They just grew warmer with age. We stopped writing to each other long ago. There was no official breakup. No final argument. No promises to wait forever. Life simply, softly, gently, pushed us in different directions. And honestly, I never held any anger about it. Because Lily wasn't just an old crush. She was my first love. The person who taught me how to care. How to listen. How to worry about someone more than I worried about myself. She showed me what it felt like to be valued by someone. And she also taught me that love sometimes comes with distance, boundaries, and complicated circumstances you can't control. Sometimes at night, I'd open a drawer filled with old letters. The ink had faded. The paper had yellowed. But the emotions were still alive. Fresh, vivid, untouched by time. I'd reread those notes and remember the way we handed them to each other after school. The times we laughed until we forgot everything else. Or that exact moment when I held her hand in the rushing river. All of it would play in my mind. Like a movie I'd watched 100 times. But never got tired of. And every time, I smiled. Because I finally understood something. Not every first love is meant to last forever. But it always leaves you with something. Something gentle. Something warm. Something that stays long after the relationship ends. My first love wasn't meant to be kept. It was meant to be remembered. It taught me how to love better in the future. How to be more mature. How to be braver when caring for someone. I met many people after Lily. Each one brought new lessons. Each one shaped me in different ways. But Lily. She will always be the first chapter of my youth. The chapter you never erase. The one you don't rewrite. The one that stays beautifully untouched. If I could talk to my teenage self, I'd probably say, love freely. Be sincere. Be goofy. Trust boldly. Because one day, when you look back, these moments will make you smile. My first love ended quietly. No heartbreak. No drama. No regret. It just closed gently. Like a door softly shutting as you step into a new room. But behind that door, the warm light of those memories still shines. And it will follow me for the rest of my life.